Greetings, I'm Kathy O'Brien. I'm the CEO of Unizin. Unizin is a nonprofit, member-based organization founded by the Academy, founded by institutions of higher ed, in order to make sure that we have the ability to be dedicated to our values around learning analytics, to collect the data that is meaningful for the Academy, and to collect the learning analytic data that can be useful to the Academy in a way that is understood by our members and leveraged by our members as easily as possible. Unizin empowers its members to own the future of student success. That's a mouthful, but it really comes down to, particularly in these very unprecedented times of constant change, to a holistic approach of making sure we have both the technology solutions and the partnership solutions and contracts that enable us and enable our 14 member institutions and any new member institutions to plan, scale, and manage their academic mission of digital transformation, to make sure that they have the data from their learners in a way that will create data-informed decisions across the various constituencies at their institutions. All of this is packaged within Unizin, and University of Nebraska is a member, and becoming a member is really not that difficult if your institution is not. Frankly, Unizin's data platform, the UDP, harnesses data standards, data interoperability to make sure that we integrate and scale digital learning systems so that data-informed decisions can be made. It provides an immense level of insight, analytics, and research as to how higher education can and should improve its ability to help students achieve success. There's many different ways that we do this today. Unizin's journey is a 6-year journey. We're really at an inflection point where our data marts, our data services, our data dashboards, our learning apps are mature, easily accessible to our members, and ever increasing as the Unizin Data Platform is now a mature set of infrastructure that powers it all. We also have a portion of our vendor partnerships, which is critical to collecting data, and that is our relationships with learning tools vendors, approximately a dozen, and another 24 learning courseware and digital resources for students across about 24 publishers. This collective purchasing power does a couple things. It enables us to influence standards, to collect the data to better inform our institutions through the Unizin Data Platform. And it also enables deep discounting. Unizin leverages almost 950,000 full-time enrolled students when we work with vendors. That gives us influence, both on standards, on data sharing, and of course on price point. It drives down cost savings. For example, between September of 2020 and December of 2020, our students saved over $20 million. And that is not the difference between retail and what the Unizin members paid, their students paid from a student affordability standpoint. It is half that, because we recognize not all students buy at retail, nor do they even necessarily buy the courseware. We do promote inclusive access. MyLA, or My Learning Analytics, is Unizin's first hosted software application. It was developed by the University of Michigan as one of our members, shared with Unizin, now hosted by Unizin. Over 6 institutions use it. Most importantly, perhaps, it was developed by educational researchers, and a great deal of research has gone into it and continues to go into its application. It's developed around a set of visualizations that promote metacognition and self-regulated learning. There's a great deal of information in that URL if you are interested. This is our first software as a service app, but it is very common for Unizin member institutions to develop applications or widgets that hang off the LMS that are available to other institutions once they've reached a degree of maturity, and Unizin hosts them at no cost to our membership. Additionally, Unizin is about partnership. We have consortium level relationships with many, many vendors, including Instructure, Desire to Learn, Google, over a dozen learning tool vendors, over 24 publishers, accounting for about 70 to 80% of the market and enabling that great student affordability I talked about earlier. We use that to leverage for standards, data interoperability, and we want to make sure that the Academy is in charge of its own learner data, able to collect it, able to, in a transparent way, analyze its own data at its own institution, and with the right data sharing agreements, enable multi-institutional research. We also, speaking of research, really want to promote institutional research for informed decision-making. This can be for provost office, for deans, it can be for organizational effectiveness, it can be for advisors, for our faculty, for students. We produce out of this tremendous ocean of data that we have in the Unizin data model, we make it accessible, we make it understandable. We curate data marts that are narrow, specific to an audience or a group of questions to make it easier for institutions to ask the questions that they need, depending upon their perspective, whether they're advisor or a student success staff, whether they're faculty, whether they're in program planning in a dean's office. We want to make sure that they get the assistance they need. We have a service called the Data Concierge Service. They help with assistance, they help with training, they troubleshoot queries and filters. They match these data sets and potentially these data marts to the institution's questions or the specific audience within the institution's questions. We want to make sure that we deliver meaningful metrics, not just data, but metrics through our aggregations. The Unizin Data Platform has data in it from learning tools, from the LMS, and from SIS that enable institutions to look at their data in a meaningful way because it is aggregated, it is curated under the Unizin Common Data Model. It's a scalable model. It allows for data democratization and informed decisions across the institutions to that conglomerate of diverse audiences I talked about earlier. We also offer a series of boot camps. These are designed to specific audience, not just hackathons to IT staff. It could be a group of advisors. It could be a group of institutional researchers. It could be any subset that's asking a particular question around use cases. And we're happy to do boot camps, typically a half a day, sometimes a day, around the various data services, data marts, or just helping out with connections to data dashboards in the institution that help them make informed decisions. The Unizin Data Platform is about research, formal academic research. These two particular projects are just two samples. Online STEM learning is obviously a very hot topic and will certainly continue today. There's research going on at the University of Nebraska that leverages Unizin Data Platform or UDP data, along with the framework of the social network analysis and communities of inquiring and putting that data together in an interesting way to create a more holistic view of students, their obstacles, and what would enable student success. Lara seeks to analyze and quantify grade penalties in STEM courses. Again, it's multi-institutional and it's accounting for the differences in grade incomes based on gender across 5 universities to better inform our knowledge of what is equitable teaching and student access. These are just 2 examples of the multi-institutional research that not only does the Unizin Data Platform empower, but the fact that we act as a consortium and we have streamlined both our administrative and our technical processes to enable that data sharing to reach the right data agreements. We will broker the different IRB trainings and requirements among our institutions to make it as simple as possible for an institutional researcher to get on those rails and get to the data they need to do the research that they want to. Unizin teaching and learning communities are extremely vibrant. We have hundreds of people in these communities, and the communities are diverse. It's accessibility, affordable content, learning analytics, from a practitioner standpoint to learning analytics from a faculty perspective in the community of practice. It's app developers that are developing against the data in the Unizin Data Platform. It's about faculty development and that change management that needs to take place across the use of learning analytics to improve pedagogy. It's about learning tools, strategies, and operations, libraries, security and privacy and research. And once again, I just want to encourage you to think about reaching out to Unizin. I'm Kathy O'Brien. I'm very happy to talk with you further. So again, I'm Kathy O'Brien. Very happy to talk to you if you're a Unizin member, University of Nebraska is, please reach out to me if you'd like to know more about Unizin and how to access what you already own. Or if you're another institution that would like to talk about joining, please feel free to contact me at the email address on the screen. Thank you.